Hello there, and welcome back to Science for Sleep, a quiet corner of the universe where we take slow, drifting journeys through the softest side of science. Tonight, we're going to explore something vast and peaceful, something that stretches far beyond the horizon, yet feels gentle enough to fall asleep to. We're taking a calm wander through the solar system, not in a fast or technical way, but in a slow, dreamy drift, where each fact is just a soft star passing by. The solar system is enormous, but when we move through it slowly, it becomes soothing. Every planet, every moon, every swirling cloud of dust and light becomes part of a quiet cosmic landscape. There's no urgency out here, no rush, just the steady rhythm of orbits drifting endlessly through space. As you settle in, you might imagine these worlds moving past you one by one, each one offering a soft, sleepy fact that feels as gentle as a whisper. Before we go any further, if you enjoy these calm journeys through science, I invite you to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you're comfortable, let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is in your corner of the world. It's always peaceful knowing how many of us drift through these quiet videos together. And now, we'll drift right back into the softness of space. The solar system begins with the sun, a warm, glowing star that sits at the center like a quiet, steady heartbeat. Everything else moves around it. The planets, the moons, the asteroids, each one following a slow, predictable path. Even though the sun is powerful, we're going to explore it gently, focusing on the soft wonder of knowing that something so bright can create such peaceful rhythms, shaping the orbits that cradle every world we'll visit tonight. As we drift away from the sun, we enter the inner solar system, a small neighborhood of warm, rocky planets. Each one has its own personality. Mercury with its quiet, sun-scorched silence, Venus wrapped in soft golden clouds, Earth with its oceans and gentle atmosphere, and Mars with its dusty red deserts. Even though these planets are made of rock, there is something soothing about imagining them drifting endlessly in the dark, suspended in space like glowing beads on a string. Beyond them lies the asteroid belt, a gentle ring of drifting stones and dust. It isn't a chaotic place, not the way movies imagine it. Instead, it's a wide, quiet region where countless rocks float far apart from one another, each following its own slow path around the sun. Nothing rushes here. Everything simply drifts. Farther still are the giant worlds, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Their enormous swirling clouds move like soft brushstrokes, painted slowly across their surfaces. Their storms last for years, but even those storms have a quiet rhythm, a steady spinning that feels almost hypnotic. Around them float moons of every shape and size, icy worlds, volcanic worlds, even moons with hidden oceans beneath their surfaces. Each one is a tiny world with its own secrets, drifting quietly through the darkness. And then, at last, the solar system stretches outward into the Kuiper Belt, a wide, frozen frontier filled with small icy worlds like Pluto. Beyond that lies the Oort cloud, a soft, imaginary shell of comets so distant and delicate that no spacecraft has ever reached them. They simply wait in the dark, orbiting so slowly that a single journey around the sun might take millions of years. Tonight, we'll explore all of this gently, one sleepy fact at a time. There's no need to follow every detail. There's nothing to memorize. Just let the soft rhythm of the solar system carry you, drifting from world to world until your mind begins to slow and the quiet of space wraps around you like a blanket. Whenever you're ready, we'll continue deeper into this peaceful universe, letting the next sleepy fact rise softly into view, like a planet emerging from the dark. At the heart of the solar system rests the sun, a warm, glowing sphere of light that has been quietly shining for billions of years. Even though it is powerful, immense, and filled with endless activity, we're going to approach it in the softest way possible, as a comforting presence that keeps everything in gentle motion. Without the sun, the solar system would be cold and dark, but with it, space becomes a place of warmth, rhythm, and steady illumination. The sun is not a solid object, but a vast drifting ocean of light and plasma. Deep within its core, tiny particles move and merge in ways that release gentle waves of energy. These waves travel outward through layers of glowing gas, taking thousands of years to reach the surface. By the time they escape into space, they fan out softly in all directions, filling the solar system with a quiet, steady glow. Even though the sun shines brightly, its light reaches us as something delicate, warm enough to sustain life, but gentle enough to fall asleep under. From far away, the sun appears smooth, like a soft glowing circle suspended in darkness. But up close, it moves with slow, mesmerizing patterns. The surface shifts with drifting currents, swirling arcs, silent waves of energy rising and falling. These patterns unfold over days and weeks, creating a calm, rhythmic heartbeat that echoes through space. Even the sun's rotation is slow and soothing, taking nearly a month to complete a single turn. One sleepy fact about the sun is that it holds almost all of the mass in the entire solar system. More than 99% of everything that exists here, every planet, every moon, every piece of dust, owes its orbit to the sun's quiet pull. It doesn't force anything to move quickly. Instead, it gently guides each world along its curved path, like a soft hand tracing invisible circles through space. The solar system is peaceful because the sun is steady, its gravity creating a comforting structure where everything has a place. Another calming truth is that the sun's light takes time to arrive. Even though light travels incredibly fast, it still needs about 8 minutes to reach Earth. This means the sunlight warming your skin, the soft brightness that fills your room during the day, began its journey minutes earlier, traveling across millions of kilometers of space. There's something soothing about knowing that light moves steadily, without hurry, crossing vast distances in silence before reaching us. The sun also breathes in its own way. Streams of tiny particles drift outward from its surface in a slow, continuous flow. This gentle solar wind spreads throughout the solar system, touching every planet as it travels. It shapes delicate patterns in space, creating shimmering curtains of light around worlds with magnetic fields. On Earth, this quiet interaction becomes the auroras, soft green and purple waves glowing in the sky, moving with a dreamlike slowness. Despite its energy, the sun is remarkably stable. It rises and sets with a rhythm so predictable that life on Earth has grown around it, adjusting its internal clocks to match the cycle of light and darkness. This consistency has existed for billions of years and will continue for billions more. The sun's calm reliability is one of the most comforting truths in all of science. It is a presence that never rushes, never changes suddenly, simply continues shining with gentle patience. Even the size of the sun adds to this softness. It is vast enough to hold more than 1 million Earths inside. Yet from our distant vantage point, it appears small enough to gaze at through filtered light, or to watch as it dips behind the horizon. The scale shifts depending on where you are, reminding us that distance creates perspective. Up close, it is immense. Far away, it becomes a warm point of calm in the sky. As the sun slowly turns, its light spreads evenly across space, creating long, smooth gradients of brightness that fade gently into the outer regions of the solar system. The farther you travel from the sun, the softer its light becomes, until eventually it feels like a distant lantern glowing faintly in the background. Even at immense distances, its presence can still be felt, a reminder that everything in the solar system is connected through this quiet glow. And so, as we begin our journey outward from the sun, we carry with us the warmth, steadiness, and gentle illumination it provides. Every sleepy fact that follows is shaped in some way by this central star, this glowing anchor that keeps the solar system drifting in harmony. Whenever you're ready, we can drift softly into the inner planets, where the first worlds orbit closest to the light. As we move outward from the warm glow of the sun, the first worlds we encounter are the inner planets, a small family of rocky spheres that orbit quietly in the light. Each one has its own gentle character, its own temperature, texture, and rhythm. Even though they differ in many ways, together they create a calm, familiar neighborhood in the vastness of space. There is something soothing about how they drift, each following its own slow path, circling the sun in silent harmony. The closest of these worlds is Mercury, a tiny planet that orbits so near the sun that its surface warms and cools with dramatic swings. Yet even here, there is a quiet stillness. Mercury has no thick atmosphere to stir the air, so the landscape is almost entirely silent. Craters and smooth plains sit frozen in place, untouched for millions of years. Sunlight rises softly over the horizon, taking its time as it spills across the ground. Days here stretch long and slow, and nights slip gently into darkness, without wind or weather to disturb the calm. Just beyond Mercury lies Venus, a world wrapped in thick clouds that glow softly in the sunlight. These clouds create a smooth, golden appearance, making Venus look serene from afar, even though its surface hides intense heat. But in a sleepy, drifting sense, Venus feels like a world covered in warm, glowing mist, a planet that reflects light so gently that it becomes one of the brightest objects in our sky. The slow rotation of Venus adds to this dreamy quality. A single day here lasts longer than a year, and the clouds swirl in unhurried patterns, moving with delicate rhythm around the globe. Earth comes next, the only planet we truly know from the inside. From space, Earth appears soft and blue, wrapped in swirls of white cloud that drift across its surface. Oceans reflect sunlight like smooth sheets of glass, while continents glow with subtle patterns of green and brown. The atmosphere forms a thin, gentle layer that cushions the world, scattering light into soft blues during the day and warm oranges at sunset. For all its complexity, Earth orbits with the same calm steadiness as its neighbors, another sphere drifting through the sun's quiet embrace. Beyond Earth lies Mars, a cool reddish world where dust settles slowly and winds shape the landscape over long, patient stretches of time. The soft color of Mars comes from iron minerals in the soil, giving the entire planet a warm, muted glow. Mountains rise gently into the thin sky, including the tallest volcano in the solar system, while valleys carve deep channels that trace ancient paths once carved by flowing water. Even though Mars is far from Earth, it feels strangely familiar, like a quiet, distant cousin drifting peacefully in its own orbit. Between Mars and Jupiter stretches a wide region known as the asteroid belt, a soft ring of drifting rocks and dust. Despite how it is often imagined, this place is not crowded or chaotic. The asteroids float far apart from one another, each one following a slow, predictable path around the Sun. Some are small and smooth, others are jagged and large, but all of them drift in silence. They form a gentle boundary between the inner and outer solar system, a subtle transition from warm, rocky worlds to the cool giants that lie beyond. One sleepy fact about the inner solar system is that these planets orbit relatively quickly. Mercury circles the Sun in just 88 days, a rapid loop that contrasts with the slower orbits farther out. Earth completes its journey in one familiar year, while Mars takes a little longer, drifting through space for nearly 2 Earth years before returning to the same point in its orbit. Each planet's pace creates a quiet rhythm, a cosmic clock that has no need for precision, simply following the patterns set billions of years ago. The inner planets also share another gentle quality. They are illuminated more brightly than the worlds beyond. Sunlight here feels strong and warm, filling the skies with soft colors and casting long, smooth shadows across the landscapes. Even though each world interprets this light differently, reflected by Venus's clouds, scattered by Earth's air, or absorbed by Mercury's rocky ground, the glow connects them all. They are held within the Sun's closeness, drifting in its brighter, warmer cradle. As we leave this inner region behind, the sunlight begins to dim, not abruptly, but gradually, like a slow fade at the end of a long day. The planets we will soon meet are larger, cooler, and wrapped in swirling blankets of gas and cloud. Their moons dance slowly around them, and their storms move like soft spirals painted across the sky. But for now, we stay with the memory of the inner planets, with their rocky surfaces, gentle colors, and quiet orbits, before drifting outward into the vastness where the giants wait. As we drift farther from the warm inner worlds, the sunlight begins to soften, not sharply, but gradually, like the slow dimming of a lantern at the end of a long evening. The space between the planets widens, the temperature falls, and the solar system opens into a vast, gentle expanse where the giant planets drift in slow, majestic orbits. Everything out here moves with deep patience, each world circling the sun in rhythms that unfold over years, decades, even centuries. This part of the solar system feels spacious and quiet, a calm region filled with soft colors, swirling clouds, and moons that move like small companions through the dark. The first of these enormous worlds is Jupiter, a planet so large that it reshapes the space around it simply by existing. But even though Jupiter is immense, we'll approach it softly, imagining it not as a stormy giant, but as a world wrapped in gentle layers of cloud. From afar, its stripes look smooth and calm, like brushstrokes drifting across a canvas. These bands of color move slowly, creating patterns that change over time, shifting with a rhythm that feels ancient and steady. Jupiter's orbit itself is unhurried, taking nearly 12 Earth years to complete a single loop around the Sun. Everything about this world unfolds on a large, peaceful scale. Even Jupiter's moons drift with quiet grace. Some circle close to the planet, while others wander farther out, creating a wide family of tiny worlds. Their motion is gentle, predictable, and slow, like a miniature solar system moving in harmony with the larger one. Each moon reflects Jupiter's faint sunlight in soft glimmers, turning quietly in the dark, continuing their orbits without rush or interruption. Beyond Jupiter lies Saturn, another giant, wrapped in golden clouds and surrounded by rings that drift like delicate threads of ice. These rings may seem solid from a distance, but up close, they are made of countless tiny pieces, each one a small fragment of ice or rock, moving gently in its own orbit. Together, they create a soft, shimmering halo that encircles the planet in near silence. Saturn rotates quickly, but its orbit is slow and smooth, taking almost 30 Earth years to return to the same place in the sky. There is a dreamy quality to Saturn, a kind of elegance shaped by light, distance, and time. Saturn's moons add to this calm beauty. Some are small and quiet, drifting like frozen pebbles. Others are larger, with soft surfaces shaped by ice and gentle geological rhythms. They move through Saturn's gravity with an easy, drifting motion, each one following a path that never needs to hurry. Titan, the largest moon, carries a thick, hazy atmosphere that softens every detail, giving it an otherworldly stillness. In the outer solar system, even atmospheres feel sleepy. As we drift farther outward, the sunlight fades even more, becoming a distant glow rather than a source of warmth. Here we find Uranus, a pale blue-green world that rotates on its side, creating seasons that unfold over decades. Its clouds are faint and subtle, moving with quiet slowness. The tilt of Uranus gives the planet a gentle, unusual rhythm, one that feels peaceful in its own way, as if the world has settled into a unique, restful posture in space. Its moons follow this sideways orientation, orbiting like small beads along an invisible ring, drifting silently around the planet. Past Uranus lies Neptune, the farthest giant, wrapped in deep blue hues that blend into the darkness around it. Neptune's clouds are soft and faint, moving in slow atmospheric waves. Its orbit is extraordinarily long, taking more than 160 Earth years to complete a single circle around the Sun. To Neptune, the seasons change so slowly that an entire human lifetime passes before the planet experiences even a small shift in sunlight. This slowness gives Neptune an aura of deep, drifting calm. Neptune's largest moon, Triton, moves in a quiet, unusual orbit that circles the planet backward, a gentle reminder that the solar system carries mysteries shaped by ancient motions. Triton's surface is cold and pale, reflecting the dim sunlight in a soft blue glow. Even at these distances, the relationship between a planet and its moon feels peaceful, a slow gravitational dance under the faint light of the sun. One sleepy fact about the outer solar system is how still everything seems compared to the inner worlds. The vast distances create long, slow orbits. The sunlight, as Ketin, is gentle rather than bright. The temperatures are steady and cold, shaping surfaces that preserve their landscapes for millions of years. Out here, the pace of time feels different, as if the universe itself moves with a quieter, longer breath. Another calming truth is that space between the giant planets is enormous. Even though the solar system feels populated with worlds, the space separating them is wide and open. This emptiness is peaceful rather than lonely. It gives each planet its own quiet region of space, where it can drift undisturbed along its patient path around the sun. As we drift through this outer realm, the feeling is one of calm expansion, a sense that everything moves slowly, steadily, and harmoniously. The inner solar system may be warm and bright, but the outer solar system is cool, wide, and serene, a vast, gentle frontier where the giants drift through the dark with quiet confidence. And beyond these worlds lies an even softer region, a place where small frozen bodies drift at the edge of sunlight, marking the boundary between the solar system and the deeper dark of interstellar space. Far beyond the quiet drift of Neptune, the solar system begins to change. The light becomes faint and cool, as if the sun is now only a distant lantern, glowing gently in the background. Space widens into an even calmer expanse, and the orbits stretch into long, slow arcs that take centuries to complete. This outer region is called the Kuiper Belt, a broad, icy frontier where small worlds drift through the silence with patient grace. Everything here moves slowly, softly, and with a sense of deep cosmic stillness. The Kuiper Belt is filled with frozen bodies that formed in the early days of the solar system. Many of them have never changed very much. They drift through space as quiet time capsules, holding on to the textures and compositions they carried billions of years ago. Their surfaces are coated in iodide dust and frozen gases that create subtle shades of blue, grey, and white. From afar, they appear as gentle points of light that move with a delicate, unhurried rhythm. One of the best-known worlds in this region is Pluto, a small, icy sphere that orbits in a long, graceful loop around the sun. Even though Pluto is distant and cold, there is a softness to imagining it drifting in the quiet outer dark. Its surface is patterned with smooth plains and icy ridges that catch the faint sunlight, glowing subtly against the shadows. Pluto's orbit is long and elongated, taking more than 200 years to complete a single journey around the sun. This slow pace adds to its dreamlike quality, a world that moves at a rhythm entirely its own. Pluto also has a moon named Charon, large enough to share a kind of mutual orbit with the planet. Instead of one world circling the other, They drift around a shared center of gravity, a gentle, balanced dance that gives their motion a unique harmony. From the perspective of the two worlds, the sky would hold the other planet in a steady position, almost still, like a constant companion suspended against the stars. This stillness feels deeply peaceful, as if the worlds themselves are resting together. Beyond Pluto and Charon, many other icy bodies drift through the Kuiper belt. Some are round, some are irregular, and some reflect sunlight with a soft shimmer. They move in calm arcs, never rushing, never disturbed. Their orbits are stable, shaped by the gentle pull of the sun and the faint influences of the giant planets far behind them. Each one follows a path that has remained mostly unchanged for billions of years. A slow, serene motion that feels timeless in the quiet of the outer solar system. The Kuiper belt itself is wide and open. Even though thousands of objects drift here, the space between them is vast. A single Kuiper belt object could wander for millions of years without passing close to another. This enormous distance creates an atmosphere of stillness, where each world moves through its own quiet region of space, untouched by anything else. The darkness here is soft and steady, broken only by the slow glimmer of sunlight reflected off icy surfaces. One sleepy fact about the Kuiper belt is that sunlight takes hours to reach these distant worlds. By the time it arrives, it is soft and faint, more like a gentle glow than a bright light. This dim sunlight casts long, delicate shadows and creates a calm, muted palette across the icy terrain. Even day and night feel different here. Days unfold slowly, and nights last long enough to seem eternal. The passage of time stretches into smooth, drifting cycles. The cold in this region is also profound. Temperatures fall to levels so low that elements like nitrogen and methane freeze into solid ice. But instead of imagining this coldness as harsh or severe, it feels more like a deep, quiet stillness, a calm that settles over everything and preserves each world in a gentle, frozen state. Ice becomes a kind of memory, holding onto shapes, patterns, and textures that reveal how the solar system once formed. Beyond the Kuiper belt lies an even more distant region, a vast hypothetical cloud of icy bodies known as the Oort cloud. Though too far away to see directly, imagining it feels calming. Its objects drift so slowly that a single orbit might take millions of years. These icy travelers move at the farthest edge of the sun's influence, floating in a soft, almost timeless realm where the light is only a whisper. Even though this region is mostly theoretical, the idea of such a quiet boundary gives the solar system a sense of peaceful completion. The Kuiper belt serves as a gentle transition zone, a soft threshold between the structured orbits of the planets and the deep interstellar darkness beyond. Everything here moves with quiet consistency. The worlds are small, the light is faint, and the passage of time feels slow and spacious. It is a region defined not by activity, but by stillness. A calm frontier where the solar system seems to drift into a peaceful sigh. There is something soothing about imagining these distant, icy bodies continuing their patient orbits, untouched by urgency. They remind us that the solar system is not only a place of planets and storms and swirling clouds, but also a place of quiet remoteness, where even the smallest objects have room to drift gently through the dark. As we leave this region in our journey, we carry with us the feeling of the Kuiper Belt's soft expansiveness, its quiet rhythms, its peaceful drifting worlds, and the gentle reminder that even at the edge of the solar system, there is calmness waiting in the dark. As we drift deeper into the solar system's quiet expanse, one of the softest and most peaceful patterns we encounter is the motion of orbits. Every world, every moon, every icy body, even the smallest grain of dust, all of them move in calm, predictable paths shaped by gravity. These paths are smooth and continuous, unfolding with a rhythm that has lasted for billions of years. Orbits are the solar system's heartbeat, steady, unhurried, and deeply soothing when imagined through a sleepy lens. An orbit is simply the balance between motion and pull. A world drifts forward. The sun pulls gently inward, and the result is a graceful curve that never ends. There is no strain in this motion, no struggle, just an equilibrium that allows planets to glide through space without effort. When you imagine each world floating along its invisible loop, the concept feels calming, like watching ripples circle outward across a still pond. Most orbits in the solar system are shaped like soft ellipses, not perfect circles, not sharp or dramatic, just gentle ovals that widen slightly and narrow slightly as the worlds travel through them. This subtle variation makes the path feel organic, as if the orbits breathe in and out very slowly over long stretches of time. Some orbits are nearly circular, drifting smoothly around the sun. Others stretch longer, pulling the traveler a little closer at one point and a little farther at another. But all of them share the same quiet principle: continuous, balanced motion. One sleepy fact about orbits is how consistent they are. Planets follow the same paths year after year, century after century, guided by the sun's soft gravitational pull. Even though everything moves, nothing feels chaotic. The solar system is a place where motion creates stability, where every world keeps its distance while still being gently connected to the center. There is comfort in this structure, a sense of order that unfolds slowly across cosmic time. Moons follow orbits too, drifting calmly around their planets. Some move quickly, completing a loop in just a few days. Others take weeks or months, sliding through space in slow arcs. These motions create small, harmonious systems within the larger one, tiny dances of gravity that continue uninterrupted. When imagined from afar, each moon looks like a small companion following its planet with unwavering loyalty, never straying, never hurrying. Their persistence adds a quiet grace to the solar system's overall rhythm. Even the rings around certain planets are made of countless small pieces orbiting together. Each fragment of ice or rock follows its own tiny path. But because they all share the same gravitational environment, they form smooth, elegant bands. These rings are like cosmic brushstrokes, thin, delicate, and shaped by the subtle interplay of motion and distance. From a distance, they seem motionless, but up close, they are alive with gentle, coordinated movement. Every particle glides in place, creating a serene harmony that stretches around the planet like a whisper of light. Orbits also change with time, but the changes are slow, almost imperceptible on human timescales. A world might drift slightly outward over millions of years, or its path may become a little more circular as gravitational influences balance out. These changes are subtle, soft, and gradual, the kind of shifts that reflect the patience of cosmic time. Nothing happens quickly, and nothing happens with force. The solar system's architecture evolves like a quiet tide, shaped by gentle gravitational nudges. One of the most peaceful aspects of orbital motion is how predictable it is. If you know where a planet is today, you can estimate where it will be not just tomorrow, but hundreds of years from now. This predictability gives the solar system a sense of calm, a feeling that everything is moving with purpose, even though that purpose is simply the continuation of these ancient patterns. Nothing is out of place. Nothing wanders without reason. Gravity provides a gentle structure that holds the entire system together. There is something soothing about imagining these distant icy bodies continuing their patient orbits, untouched by urgency. They remind us that the solar system is not only a place of planets and storms and swirling clouds, but also a place of quiet remoteness, where even the smallest objects have room to drift gently through the dark. As we leave this region in our journey, we carry with us the feeling of the Kuiper Belt's soft expansiveness, its quiet rhythms, its peaceful drifting worlds, and the gentle reminder that even at the edge of the solar system, there is calmness waiting in the dark. As we drift deeper into the solar system's quiet expanse, one of the softest and most peaceful patterns we encounter is the motion of orbits. Every world, every moon, every icy body, even the smallest grain of dust, all of them move in calm, predictable paths shaped by gravity. These paths are smooth and continuous, unfolding with a rhythm that has lasted for billions of years. Orbits are the solar system's heartbeat, steady, unhurried, and deeply soothing when imagined through a sleepy lens. An orbit is simply the balance between motion and pull. A world drifts forward. The sun pulls gently inward, and the result is a graceful curve that never ends. There is no strain in this motion, no struggle, just an equilibrium that allows planets to glide through space without effort. When you imagine each world floating along its invisible loop, the concept feels calming, like watching ripples circle outward across a still pond. Most orbits in the solar system are shaped like soft ellipses. Not perfect circles, not sharp or dramatic, just gentle ovals that widen slightly and narrow slightly as the worlds travel through them. This subtle variation makes the path feel organic, as if the orbits breathe in and out very slowly over long stretches of time. Some orbits are nearly circular, drifting smoothly around the sun. Others stretch longer, pulling the traveler a little closer at one point and a little farther at another. But all of them share the same quiet principle: continuous, balanced motion. One sleepy fact about orbits is how consistent they are. Planets follow the same paths year after year, century after century, guided by the sun's soft gravitational pull. Even though everything moves, nothing feels chaotic. The solar system is a place where motion creates stability, where every world keeps its distance while still being gently connected to the center. There is comfort in this structure, a sense of order that unfold slowly across cosmic time. Moons follow orbits too, drifting calmly around their planets. Some move quickly, completing a loop in just a few days. Others take weeks or months, sliding through space in slow arcs. These motions create small, harmonious systems within the larger one, tiny dances of gravity that continue uninterrupted. When imagined from afar, each moon looks like a small companion following its planet with unwavering loyalty, never straying, never hurrying. Their persistence adds a quiet grace to the solar system's overall rhythm. Even the rings around certain planets are made of countless small pieces orbiting together. Each fragment of ice or rock follows its own tiny path. But because they all share the same gravitational environment, they form smooth, elegant bands. These rings are like cosmic brushstrokes, thin, delicate, and shaped by the subtle interplay of motion and distance. From a distance, they seem motionless, but up close, they are alive with gentle, coordinated movement. Every particle glides in place, creating a serene harmony that stretches around the planet like a whisper of light. Orbits also change with time, but the changes are slow, almost imperceptible on human timescales. A world might drift slightly outward over millions of years, or its path may become a little more circular as gravitational influences balance out. These changes are subtle, soft, and gradual, the kind of shifts that reflect the patience of cosmic time. Nothing happens quickly, and nothing happens with force. The solar system's architecture evolves like a quiet tide, shaped by gentle gravitational nudges. One of the most peaceful aspects of orbital motion is how predictable it is. If you know where a planet is today, you can estimate where it will be not just tomorrow, but hundreds of years from now. This predictability gives the solar system a sense of calm, a feeling that everything is moving with purpose, even though that purpose is simply the continuation of these ancient patterns. Nothing is out of place. Nothing wanders without reason. Gravity provides a gentle structure that holds the entire system together. Comets offer another kind of orbit, long, stretched-out paths that take them far from the sun, then bring them sweeping back in a graceful loop. Their journeys can last decades, centuries, or even millennia. When a comet returns to the sun's glow, it is like seeing an old traveler drift briefly into the warmth before returning to the distant dark. These orbits feel like quiet voyages, slow arcs that connect the inner solar system to the farthest reaches beyond the planets. Even tiny particles follow orbits. Dust left behind by comets creates soft, glowing trails that Earth occasionally drifts through. These trails become meteor showers, but imagined from space, they are simply delicate threads of material circling the sun, moving with the same gentle gravitational guidance as the worlds they surround. Every particle follows its place in the system's soft choreography. The beauty of orbits lies in their balance. Objects in motion stay in motion. Gravity guides them, and the result is a peaceful, continuous flow. Nothing needs to push or pull suddenly. Everything glides. Everything moves in quiet harmony. The solar system is not a static place. It is a place of drifting worlds, each one tracing a smooth path through space, shaped by forces that are gentle on cosmic scales. These paths create the structure of the solar system, not through walls or boundaries, but through patterns of motion that have held steady for billions of years. When you imagine all these worlds moving at once, planets, moons, rings, comets, dust, the picture becomes a soft celestial dance, a vast, quiet choreography unfolding slowly, patiently, endlessly. And in that graceful motion, there is a kind of calmness that feels almost timeless. A reminder that even in the vastness of space, harmony can exist through the simplest of patterns. A curve, a pull, and a steady drift along an invisible path. Long before the planets formed their calm, drifting paths, long before the sun settled into its steady glow, the solar system existed as something soft and unstructured. A cloud, a mist, a quiet expanse of gas and dust floating in the darkness of space. This early cloud, known as a nebula, was vast and delicate, so spread out that even the slightest movement created slow, graceful waves through it. Imagining this beginning feels peaceful, like watching fog drift across a still landscape. This nebula was made of tiny particles, grains of dust, traces of ice, and wisps of gas that moved gently through space. Nothing was solid yet. Nothing had shape. It was simply a calm mixture suspended in the dark, illuminated faintly by distant stars. Over millions of years, small ripples passed through the nebula, gentle compressions that nudged the material ever so slightly inward. These ripples didn't rush or collide. They drifted, encouraging the cloud to gather itself more closely. At the center of this quiet gathering, something warm began to form. A soft glow, a slowly brightening core. As more material drifted inward, gravity began to shape the cloud into a gently spinning disk. The rotation was slow and smooth, like the effortless turn of a calm river eddy. This disk became the earliest version of the solar system, a flattened circle of dust and gas rotating around a central point that would one day become the sun. The particles in the disk moved with remarkable patience. Instead of colliding violently, they touched softly, brushing, gathering, and merging in small, delicate encounters. Over time, these grains began to stick together, forming clumps. The clumps grew into larger ones, and then larger still, each stage unfolding with gentle persistence. Nothing happened suddenly. Growth was slow, steady, and quiet, driven by tiny interactions that rarely made a sound. As the central region of the disk grew denser, pressure increased. The core warmed. The glow strengthened. Eventually, the temperature rose high enough for the sun to awaken, not in a burst, but in a gradual blooming of light and warmth. The sun's first shine was soft compared to what it would become, a warm, golden presence forming at the heart of the disk. From this moment onward, the sun became the calm center of everything, shaping the motions of every particle through its gentle, constant pull. Farther out in the disk, the material continued to drift and gather. Some regions collected more dust than others, forming soft spirals and patches. These patches slowly became the seeds of planets. In the warm inner region of the disk, rocky material began to clump together, forming small, solid bodies that would one day become Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. These worlds did not appear suddenly. They grew slowly, particle by particle, their surfaces forming from countless quiet collisions that built them layer by layer. In the cooler outer region, ices could remain solid. Frozen water, methane, and ammonia contributed to the birth of the giant planets. These worlds began as small icy cores that drifted through the disk, gathering more and more material as they moved. Their growth was gentle but expansive, eventually forming the vast atmospheres of Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Even their size was created through calm accumulation, a patient gathering of gas that surrounded the growing cores with soft, swirling layers. The leftover material in the disk formed smaller worlds, asteroids in one region, icy objects in another, moons that gathered around forming planets, and a delicate population of wandering bodies that drifted toward the edges of the solar system. These pieces were not forgotten or discarded. They simply became part of the solar system's many quiet structures, each one following its own pathway as the disk slowly cleared. One sleepy fact about this early era is that the solar system was dim at first. The sun's early light was softer, and everything glowed under a faint, muted warmth. Planets were still shaping themselves, surfaces still smoothing, atmospheres still forming gentle layers around their young cores. It was a time of gradual creation, unfolding over millions of years with the patience of cosmic time. Another calming truth is that the entire process was guided by balance. Gravity gently pulling inward, motion gently drifting outward, tiny particles finding stability in calm orbits. This balance helped the solar system settle into the structure we see today, not through chaos, but through soft, slow movements that created order without force. As the disk thinned and the sun brightened, the planets found their long-term paths. Their orbits stabilized, their surfaces cooled or warmed depending on their distances from the sun. Even now, remnants of that formation can be found everywhere. In the gentle tilt of a planet's axis, in the smoothness of an orbit, in the icy bodies drifting at the solar system's edge. The fingerprints of that early nebula remain imprinted across everything, a reminder of the quiet origins that shaped this vast, calm system. The birth of the solar system wasn't violent in the way we often imagine cosmic events. It was slow, it was gradual, and it was guided by delicate interactions between dust, ice, gas, and gravity. A peaceful creation, built particle by particle, until the worlds we know today emerged from the softness of that ancient cloud. And in that quiet beginning, we see the first signs of the calm, steady rhythms that still guide the solar system now, billions of years later. As we continue wandering through the solar system's gentle architecture, we begin to encounter the smaller travelers, the quiet wanderers of space who drift between the planets and far beyond them. These are the asteroids and comets, tiny worlds compared to the planets, but filled with calm, ancient stories. They move in long, peaceful paths, tracing arcs that can last years, decades, or even thousands of years. Even though they seem mysterious, their motion is soft and predictable, shaped by the same quiet forces that guide everything else in the solar system. Asteroids are among the oldest objects we can imagine. They formed from the leftover pieces of the early solar system, fragments of rock and metal that never merged into planets. Instead, they remain small and free, drifting along their gentle orbits, in the vast region between Mars and Jupiter. This space is known as the asteroid belt, but it isn't crowded or chaotic the way movies often depict it. In reality, the asteroids are separated by great distances, floating quietly through space with more emptiness between them than anything else. Each asteroid is unique. Some are smooth and rounded, others are irregular, shaped like resting stones worn down over time. Their surfaces bear marks from millions of years of drifting peacefully through space, gentle scars left by tiny collisions that happened long, long ago. But for most of their existence, they travel in silence, touched only by faint sunlight and the steady pull of gravity. One sleepy fact about asteroids is how slowly they rotate. Some spin gently over hours, some take days. Their motion is unhurried, steady, and often slightly irregular, like a stone turning in calm water. Their orbits, too, are slow and stable, lasting years as they drift along paths that hardly change from one century to the next. Beyond the asteroid belt, comets wander even farther. These icy travelers spend most of their time in the distant reaches of the solar system, where the sun's light is only a faint whisper. A comet is made of frozen water, dust, and gentle traces of gases. A soft, icy body that sleeps in the cold until it drifts close enough to the sun to awaken. When this happens, the warmth causes the comet to release a thin, glowing veil of vapor, forming what we perceive as a tail. But the tail doesn't burst forth suddenly. It unfurls slowly, like a delicate ribbon catching the light. Comets follow long, stretched-out orbits. Their paths can carry them from the quiet outer dark all the way into the bright inner regions near the sun, then back out again into the cold. These journeys can take anywhere from a few decades to thousands of years, depending on how elongated their orbits are. When imagined from above, a comet's path looks like a sweeping arc that curves inward gently, then drifts outward again, tracing the same smooth loop each time. Even when a comet becomes bright, its movement remains peaceful. It doesn't race through the sky, it glides. Its tail stretches softly behind it, shaped by sunlight and the solar wind. Tiny particles drifting outward from the sun that gently push the comet's vapor away. This interaction creates the beautiful glowing tails we sometimes see from Earth. But at its core, the process is simply light and particles moving together in calm, predictable ways. Asteroids and comets can also tell quiet stories about the solar system's past. Asteroids preserve ancient material, the same dust and rock that once floated through the early nebula. Comets hold frozen water and gases that have remained unchanged for billions of years. In this sense, they are time capsules drifting through space, carrying the textures and temperatures of the solar system's earliest moments. Just by drifting along their orbits, they preserve memories of a time before planets were born. Some comets travel so far into the outer darkness that their orbits may take them thousands of years to complete. These long-period comets drift into the Oort cloud, a region so distant and so quiet that the sun appears almost like a star rather than a glowing presence. The objects that live in this region move with incredible slowness, so slow that an entire human civilization could rise and fall before one of these icy bodies returns toward the sun. Another calming truth is that asteroids and comets rarely interact with planets. Space is wide and open, allowing these small bodies to glide through their orbits without disturbance for millions of years. Their paths are gentle, and their influence is subtle. They do not carve dramatic patterns or disrupt the solar system's structure. They simply drift, following their ancient trajectories with quiet persistence. Some asteroids even share orbits with planets, moving in harmony with them. These are called Trojan asteroids, and they drift ahead or behind a planet at stable points shaped by gravity. They remain there peacefully, held in a balanced position that lets them share the orbit without ever colliding. This balance is another soft reminder of how gravity creates pockets of calm throughout the solar system, places where small worlds can rest in steady motion. And then there are the tiny meteoroids, small bits of dust left behind by comets. Earth occasionally passes through these thin trails of material, and when these tiny grains enter the atmosphere, they create brief streaks of light. But even this phenomenon is gentle when imagined from space. The particles simply drift along their orbits until Earth's path crosses theirs. Nothing chases or collides aggressively. It is all part of the slow, cyclical dance that the solar system has followed for billions of years. Asteroids and comets may be small, but their presence adds a delicate texture to the solar system. They are the quiet wanderers, the soft storytellers, the ancient pieces of dust and ice that remind us how much of the solar system is shaped not by grand events, but by slow drifting, subtle motion, and the gentle passage of time. As they continue their patient journeys through sunlight, darkness, warmth and cold, they help complete the solar system's soothing rhythm, drifting endlessly along paths carved by balance and calm. When you look at the solar system as a whole, one of the softest and most calming truths is just how spacious it is. Everything is separated by wide, quiet distances, stretches of space so large and so still that even light takes time to drift across them. And yet, despite this immensity, everything remains connected through gravity and motion, creating a peaceful balance between closeness and distance. Imagining these scales can feel almost meditative, like gazing into a deep, quiet landscape where each detail rests comfortably in its own place. Near the Sun, the planets are closer together. Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars drift through orbits that feel compact compared to the outer regions. But even here, the distances are vast. Space between Earth and Mars is wide enough that signals traveling at the speed of light take minutes to cross the gap. And yet the planets move gently through these spaces as if gliding through a serene, open sea. There is no sense of hurry or pressure, only smooth, continuous paths unfolding in silence. As we drift outward, the scale expands. Jupiter orbits so far from the Sun that sunlight arriving there feels softer, more diffuse. Beyond Jupiter, the distances widen even further, stretching into regions where each planet seems to float alone in a spacious calm. Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune follow orbits separated by such quiet expanses that entire worlds could drift between them without coming close to any other. This openness gives the outer solar system an atmosphere of deep tranquility, like a vast room filled with slow-moving lanterns. One sleepy fact about the solar system is that most of it is empty space. Not empty in a lonely way, but empty in a peaceful way. A wide, gentle stillness that allows each world to move freely without disturbance. The planets, moons, asteroids, and comets occupy only a tiny fraction of this space. Everything else is quiet, dark, and spacious, offering room for orbits to unfold in their calm, predictable rhythms. Even light reflects this scale. From Earth, sunlight feels warm and immediate, but as it travels outward, it stretches into a softer glow. By the time it reaches the outer planets, it is gentle and pale, illuminating their clouds and surfaces with a cool, muted light. This gradual fading makes the solar system feel like a long, quiet gradient, bright near the center, softly dim along the outskirts, until eventually the light becomes only a distant shimmer. The distances between moons add another layer of calm. Around Jupiter and Saturn, dozens of moons drift in wide, layered arrangements. Some circle close to their planets, completing quick, smooth orbits. Others drift far from the center, moving slowly through spacious arcs. These moon systems resemble miniature solar systems of their own, small families of worlds moving in harmonized paths, each one tracing a graceful loop through the dark. Their separation ensures that their motions remain gentle, never hurried, never chaotic. Even the journey taken by spacecraft helps reveal the solar system's quiet scale. Every probe that has traveled outward from Earth has moved slowly through these vast distances, taking months or years to reach the outer planets. And yet, the probes do not rush. They drift steadily, following calm paths shaped by gravity, powered by sunlight or faint bursts of fuel. Their long voyages highlight just how expansive and peaceful the solar system truly is. A place where even the fastest human-made objects glide patiently through the dark. One of the most soothing truths about these distances is how stable they are. The planets maintain their spacing with remarkable consistency, each one held in place by the sun's steady pull. Their separation prevents collisions and creates an orderly architecture that has lasted for billions of years. This spacing is not accidental. It is a natural outcome of balance, where gravity and motion work together to keep everything drifting peacefully in its own region. Beyond Neptune, the distances stretch into even quieter realms. The Kuiper Belt extends outward in a soft, icy expanse that widens gradually into the deep dark. Farther still, the hypothetical Oort cloud forms a vast sphere of icy bodies surrounding the solar system like a gentle halo, though no spacecraft has reached it. This imagined region spans such a large distance that the scale becomes almost dreamlike, a boundary so wide that it takes light hours upon hours to travel from the sun to its outer edge. Yet despite these enormous spaces, the solar system feels unified. Everything, from the smallest dust grain to the largest planet, remains connected through subtle gravitational threads. These threads stretch across impossible distances but never break. They hold the solar system together in a quiet, harmonious structure, allowing every world to move freely while remaining part of a larger whole. As you imagine these gentle scales, it becomes easier to picture the solar system not as a crowded place of complex motion, but as a spacious, softly lit expanse where each object glides through wide, peaceful regions of space. This sense of openness gives the solar system its calm character, a slow, drifting architecture shaped by distance, light, and time. As sunlight drifts outward from the sun, it spreads gently across the solar system, touching every world with its own quiet, unique glow. Even though the sun is bright and powerful at its core, the light we imagine in a sleepy sense feels soft and warm, moving through space with a steady calm. It travels in straight lines, crossing vast distances without slowing, filling the solar system with a gentle illumination that changes subtly from planet to planet. Thinking about this slow fading of sunlight brings a sense of peace, as though each world receives just the right amount of warmth for its quiet place in the sky. Near the sun, the light is strong and golden. Mercury and Venus glow brightly because they sit in the heart of this radiance. Their surfaces and clouds reflect sunlight in shimmering ways, creating flashes of brightness that shine against the dark. Mercury's rocky ground heats and cools under direct sunlight, while Venus's thick clouds scatter light softly, making the planet appear bright and hazy in the sky. Even though these inner worlds are warm, the way they reflect light gives them a dreamy, glowing presence. Earth's sunlight feels familiar, filtered gently through our atmosphere. The sky turns blue because the air scatters sunlight into soft hues that brighten during the day and warm into oranges and pinks at sunset. Sunlight glimmers off oceans, fades into forests, and drifts across mountains in long, quiet beams. This filtered glow creates the gentle shifts of daylight we know so well, offering a sense of comfort woven deeply into our experience of time. Even at night, sunlight reflected from the moon offers a soft reminder of the glow at the center of the solar system. On Mars, sunlight feels thinner. Its atmosphere is faint, allowing light to reach the surface with a muted, dusty softness. Sunsets here turn the sky pale blue, while daytime brings a gentle amber glow that settles over the red sands. The sunlight is not harsh. It is delicate and quiet, illuminating the planet with a calm that suits its slow, spacious atmosphere. Beyond Mars, the sunlight softens even more. Jupiter receives only a fraction of the sun's brightness, but its swirling clouds still catch the light in subtle patterns. The bands and storms reflect the light in soft layers, giving the giant planet a gentle, pastel appearance when viewed from afar. Saturn, too, glows with a muted golden light that falls across its rings, making them shimmer like thin sheets of ice drifting in the distance. Farther out, Uranus and Neptune sit in a world of cool, pale sunlight. The light reaching them is faint, not dark, but soft, like the last glow of a summer evening. Their cloud tops reflect this dim illumination, turning them shades of blue and turquoise that feel peaceful and deep. Because sunlight takes hours to reach these distant worlds, it arrives with a gentleness that matches their slow, drifting orbits. One sleepy fact about sunlight is that it takes time to reach every corner of the solar system. Only 8 minutes separate the sun from Earth. It takes over half an hour for the light to reach Jupiter, hours to reach Neptune, and much longer still to reach the frozen realms beyond. This travel time feels like a gentle reminder of the solar system's vastness, light moving patiently, without rush, illuminating everything in its path. Even more softly, sunlight fades into the interstellar dark. At the edge of the solar system, in regions like the Kuiper Belt, sunlight becomes a faint glow, barely strong enough to cast shadows. Ice reflects it gently, giving distant worlds a quiet, frosted shimmer. Beyond this, at the very outer boundary, sunlight becomes so soft that it is almost indistinguishable from the starlight around it. And yet, even this faint glow connects everything to the sun, no matter how far the distance grows. The way sunlight interacts with surfaces also creates calm patterns. Rock absorbs light slowly, warming with a gentle persistence. Ice reflects it with quiet sparkle. Dust scatters it into soft halos. Atmospheres bend and color it, shaping sunsets, dawns, and dreamy gradients across planetary skies. Each world has its own palette, its own way of interpreting the same soft beam of light, drifting outward from the sun. Even shadows in the solar system follow peaceful rhythms. On the moon, shadows are crisp and still, resting untouched in the silent vacuum. On Earth, shadows sway gently with wind and water. On distant moons, shadows stretch long and soft across icy plains, moving slowly as the world rotates. Every shadow is a quiet expression of sunlight's journey, a soft reminder of distance, shape, and the calm passing of time. The solar system, in many ways, is a gallery of sunlight. Each world reflects, bends, and scatters the light differently, creating gentle atmospheres of color and glow. And as sunlight travels ever outward, becoming softer, cooler, and more delicate, it carries with it the warmth of the star at the center. A warm, quiet presence that guides every world in its drifting orbit. Letting your thoughts drift with that light, from bright, warm beams near the sun to faint glimmers at the solar system's edge, brings a sense of calm that mirrors the slow, patient movement of sunlight itself, crossing the dark one gentle step at a time. Every world in the solar system turns in its own gentle way. Some rotate quickly, completing a full spin in the time it takes for another world to experience a single sunrise. Others turn so slowly that an entire day stretches into weeks or months. Even though each planet follows its own rhythm, all of these rotations share a quiet, calming quality. They create day and night not as abrupt changes, but as slow, steady transitions that unfold across the surface like soft waves rolling over a peaceful shore. On Earth, a day feels familiar. Light fades into darkness and returns again, shaped by a rotation that has guided our sense of time for as long as life has existed. But when we drift outward in our imagination, we find that other worlds follow gentler, stranger rhythms. Venus rotates so slowly that a single day lasts longer than its entire year. Its surface turns at a pace that feels almost dreamlike, as though time itself is stretching into a long, hazy drift. Sunlight moves across the landscape in a measured, unhurried crawl, softening the boundary between day and night until they blend into one long, continuous glow. Mars spins more quickly, creating a day length surprisingly similar to our own. Its shadows shift with a calm familiarity, stretching across red plains in a rhythm that mirrors the rise and fall of sunlight on Earth. Even though the world is cold and quiet, its rotation gives it a sense of gentle companionship, as if it keeps time alongside us from millions of kilometers away. Farther out, Jupiter rotates with incredible speed, Despite its enormous size, it completes a full spin in only about 10 hours. But even this rapid rotation feels peaceful when imagined from afar. The bands of clouds swirl smoothly around the planet, guided by the fast spin into soft, sweeping patterns that wrap around its surface. The motion is continuous and fluid, like a calm river moving past itself again and again. Saturn follows a similar rhythm, turning with a steady momentum that shapes its delicate rings into thin, elegant lines that drift calmly through the darkness. Uranus and Neptune turn in quieter, more subtle ways. Uranus rotates on its side, creating seasons that stretch across decades. Its poles drift in and out of sunlight with slow, measured grace, as though the world is tipping gently from one dream to another. Neptune rotates with a steadiness that feels cool and distant, shaping subtle cloud patterns that slide calmly across its deep blue atmosphere. Both worlds belong to the quiet outskirts of the solar system, and their rotations reflect that gentle remoteness. Moons also spin in their own soft rhythms. Many rotate in perfect synchrony with their orbits, keeping the same face turned toward their planet forever. This locked rotation gives each moon a quiet predictability, a steady, unchanging view on one side, and a slow, drifting perspective on the other. The moon that circles Earth follows this calm pattern, rotating at the exact pace it drifts through its orbit. From our point of view, it appears still, yet it is always moving, always turning in a slow, delicate balance. Even smaller bodies, like asteroids, rotate gently through the dark. Some turn irregularly, wobbling slightly as they spin. Others rotate steadily, carrying their rocky surfaces through cycles of faint sunlight and soft shadow. Comets rotate as well, their icy nuclei turning slowly as they drift toward the sun, releasing quiet streams of vapor that follow their path like a trailing breath. What makes all these rotations soothing is the absence of rush. Nothing pushes suddenly. Nothing changes abruptly. Every world turns at a pace shaped by its history, its structure, and its quiet place in the solar system. These rotations create rhythms that have remained steady for billions of years, helping to shape the patterns of light and shadow that drift across each surface. As these worlds continue their slow spins, they contribute to the solar system's overall sense of calm. Rotation adds a gentle pulse to every place we imagine, a soft turning that mirrors the steady movement of orbits, the quiet expansion of space, and the slow fading of sunlight as it travels outward. Letting your thoughts drift with these rotations is like watching lanterns slowly turning in a quiet room, unhurried, balanced, and endlessly soothing. Each world in the solar system carries its own quiet landscape, shaped not by sudden change, but by long, gentle processes unfolding over millions of years. When imagined in a sleepy, drifting way, these surfaces feel less like harsh terrains and more like calm, distant scenes resting under faint sunlight. Every planet and moon has textures and patterns softened by time, creating peaceful environments that move at the slow pace of cosmic history. Mercury's surface is covered with craters that formed long ago. In the stillness of space, these craters rest unchanged, creating a landscape that looks frozen in time. There is no wind to reshape the surface, no weather to smooth the ridges. everything remains as quiet as the moment it last moved, giving Mercury a feeling of deep stillness. Sunlight glides across its rocky ground in long, soft arcs, turning the shadows into gentle lines that stretch and fade with the slow rotation. Venus, beneath its thick clouds, holds vast plains and rolling highlands shaped by slow volcanic activity. Even though the planet is warm, the surface feels calm when imagined from afar, bathed in a soft, filtered glow from the clouds above. The thick atmosphere smooths the light, making the terrain appear slightly hazy, as if it rests behind a warm, golden veil. The mountains rise gradually, and the plains spread out in quiet, broad stretches that feel serene beneath the planet's slow-moving sky. Earth's landscapes are familiar, with oceans, forests, deserts, and mountains shifting gently under the rhythm of day and night. From space, these features blur together into calming patterns: the deep blues of water, the soft greens of vegetation, the muted tans of deserts. Clouds drift across the atmosphere in smooth, sweeping shapes, adding to the soft rotation of the planet. Even the presence of life becomes part of this calm landscape, creating gentle motions like waves, winds, and the subtle glow of reflected light. Mars offers wide, open scenery covered in red dust. Its mountains rise slowly into the thin atmosphere, and its valleys stretch out for hundreds of kilometers. Sunlight filters through the dust in muted tones, giving the planet a warm, gentle appearance. The largest canyon on Mars, though immense, looks peaceful when imagined under the soft light of a distant sun. It is a world of long, quiet shadows, where winds move with patience and landscapes change at a pace so slow it becomes almost imperceptible. The moons of the outer planets hold some of the most tranquil scenery in the solar system. Europa's icy surface is crisscrossed with smooth, delicate lines, created by slow shifts in its frozen crust. The ice reflects faint sunlight in soft glimmers, giving the moon a peaceful, frosted appearance. Ganymede and Callisto, larger and darker, contain ancient plains and gentle rises shaped by billions of years of quiet impacts. Their surfaces feel old and steady, carrying the calm of worlds that have remained untouched for ages. Saturn's moon Titan is covered in thick haze that softens every detail. Beneath the haze lie wide, flat plains and slow-moving rivers of liquid methane, shaped by long-term cycles that unfold with dreamlike patience. The surface receives only a pale light from the sun, making everything look muted and serene. Enceladus, another of Saturn's moons, displays smooth fields of bright ice that stretch out in soft curves, interrupted only by gentle ridges that shimmer faintly with reflected sunlight. Farther out, the small icy worlds of Uranus and Neptune's moon systems hold quiet, frozen landscapes. Their surfaces are a blend of past activity and present stillness, shaped by the interplay of cold temperatures and slow geological processes. Some show faint traces of ancient fractures, while others remain smooth and lightly dusted with frost. These distant terrains rest under skies where sunlight arrives as a dim bluish glow, giving everything a soft, cool tone. Pluto, at the edge of the Kuiper Belt, contains one of the gentlest landscapes of all. Its surface includes smooth plains of frozen nitrogen that look almost like snow resting motionlessly under faint light. Mountains of ice rise slowly from the plains, their shapes softened by the low gravity. Shadows drift lazily across the ground, creating slow transitions that make the entire world feel quiet, cold, and serene. Each of these surfaces tells a story not of dramatic events, but of time. Long stretches of calm existence where landscapes rest beneath soft light and gentle shadows. Imagining these distant terrains invites the mind to wander through peaceful spaces where nothing moves quickly, and where change arrives like a whisper carried across millions of years. Gravity moves through the solar system like a soft, invisible thread, gently guiding every world, moon, and drifting particle into its place. It is not a force you can see or hear, yet it shapes every calm motion we imagine in this drifting landscape of space. Gravity holds the planets in their smooth orbits, keeps moons circling steadily around their worlds, and allows dust, ice, and rock to gather into the gentle structures that have existed for billions of years. When thought of in a sleepy, drifting way, gravity feels less like a scientific idea and more like a quiet presence, always there, always steady, helping everything maintain its peaceful rhythm. At the center of this balance is the Sun. Its gravity reaches across the entire solar system, extending through warm inner regions and into the cool, distant outskirts. Even the tiniest icy bodies at the edge feel a faint pull, soft and constant, guiding them through their long and patient orbits. This connection creates harmony, giving the solar system a sense of unity, as though every object is moving together in a slow, shared breath. Nothing rushes, nothing pulls sharply. The motion remains smooth because the pull remains gentle. Each planet also contributes its own soft influence. Jupiter, with its immense size, creates calm gravitational patterns that shape the asteroid belt and guide the orbits of dozens of moons. These interactions are not abrupt. They unfold slowly, nudging objects into paths that stay stable for ages. Saturn does this as well, allowing its rings to form graceful, delicate arcs made of countless tiny pieces, each one following its own precise path. These rings appear solid from afar, but up close, they are made of fragments moving in harmony, held together by quiet gravitational balance. Moons feel this influence in tender, consistent ways. Earth's moon drifts around us because of the steady pull between our planet and its companion. This balance is so gentle that the moon always keeps the same face toward Earth, turning at just the right pace to match its orbit. Many other moons follow similar rhythms, locked into rotations that create peaceful, repeating patterns. Their movement becomes predictable in a comforting way, forming cycles that continue without interruption. Gravity also shapes the tides on Earth. The oceans rise and fall in slow pulses, guided by the moon's steady influence. These motions are calm and rhythmic, soft enough to blend into the background of everyday life. They mirror the gentle way gravity works everywhere in the solar system, quiet, constant, and steady, never demanding attention, yet always shaping the world. Even the smallest bodies feel this presence. Asteroids drift through their orbits because gravity balances their speed with their distance from the Sun. Comets follow incredibly long paths, returning after decades or centuries because of gravitational pulls that extend across unimaginably wide distances. These motions are delicate, like threads stretching through space, connecting distant regions in long, looping arcs. One of the most soothing aspects of gravity is how dependable it is. It does not change suddenly or behave unpredictably. It remains constant over vast stretches of time, keeping the solar system stable and calm. Planets remain in their lanes, moons keep their companions, and small objects wander in slow, predictable patterns. This steadiness gives the solar system its restful character, allowing every world to drift peacefully through space without fear of chaos or sudden change. In the outer regions, gravity becomes softer, but it never disappears. Even in the quiet of the Kuiper Belt, objects continue their long orbits. Their motion may be slow, their sunlight faint, but they still feel the same gentle pull that guides everything closer in. This subtle influence helps maintain the solar system's shape, defining its boundaries with a quiet certainty. When you imagine gravity in this way, it becomes almost comforting. Not a force to analyze, but a calm, ever-present guide that helps each world find its place. It holds everything softly, letting planets move freely while keeping their paths smooth and stable. It connects the entire solar system with invisible lines of balance, allowing every motion to unfold in harmony. Letting your thoughts drift with this quiet concept brings a sense of ease, as though every part of the solar system is resting in gentle hands, moving at the slow, peaceful pace of deep cosmic time. Across the solar system, many worlds are wrapped in soft layers of atmosphere that move with quiet rhythms shaped by sunlight, rotation, and time. These atmospheres may differ in thickness, color, and composition, yet each one creates a sense of calm when imagined from a distance. They form blankets of drifting air, haze, or vapor that surround the planets in slow, sweeping motions, turning the surfaces beneath them into scenes softened by light and gentle movement. Earth's atmosphere is familiar, creating the sky we look up to each day. It scatters sunlight into soft blues and warm hues at sunrise and sunset. Clouds drift across it in smooth, unhurried patterns, forming shapes that shift and dissolve in peaceful cycles. This layer of air protects the surface, carries quiet breezes, and wraps the planet in a gentle glow seen clearly from space. Even storms, when imagined from far away, become swirling patterns of white and grey, moving slowly across oceans and continents in wide, sweeping arcs. Mars has a thin atmosphere that gives the world a soft, dusty appearance. The air here is light and delicate, carrying fine grains of red sand that tint the sky in muted tones. Winds move across the plains in calm currents, shaping dunes and lifting gentle veils of dust that settle slowly back to the surface. Though the atmosphere is faint, it creates a serene environment, offering a quiet backdrop to the planet's vast, open landscapes. Venus holds a thick, swirling atmosphere that reflects sunlight in a smooth golden glow. Its clouds move with a slow, hypnotic motion, circling the planet in a continuous, gentle rotation. These clouds are dense, creating a surface hidden beneath layers of hazy brightness. From afar, Venus appears soft and luminous, as though wrapped in a warm blanket of light, that diffuses every detail of the world below. Jupiter's atmosphere is a world of its own, filled with broad bands of color that drift in long horizontal sweeps. Although the patterns can appear dramatic, the movement itself is slow and fluid, shaped by the planet's rotation and deep layers of cloud. The famous oval storms, when seen through a sleepy lens, become swirling patches of soft hues, turning with ancient patience. The entire world seems to breathe in these motions, creating a continuous flow that never truly stops. Saturn's atmosphere is subtler, marked by faint stripes and delicate gradients that blend into its golden tone. Its clouds move with gentle persistence, forming patterns that shift so gradually that they appear still from a distance. The rings cast soft shadows across the cloud tops, creating calming patterns that drift with the light as the planet rotates. Uranus has a pale, calm atmosphere, colored in soft blue-green shades. Its clouds are faint and minimal, giving the planet a peaceful simplicity. The haze around it is smooth and uniform, reflecting the sun's distant light in a quiet, understated way. Neptune's atmosphere carries deeper blues and subtle cloud streaks that glide across its surface with slow grace. Though cold and remote, these outer worlds hold a tranquility shaped by their isolation and the softness of light that reaches them. Even small moons and icy bodies have thin layers of gas or vapor that behave like quiet atmospheres. On moons like Titan, a thick, hazy atmosphere creates an orange glow that rests gently over lakes and plains. On others, tenuous wisps of gas rise from ice and drift briefly before settling again. These delicate exospheres, though almost imperceptible, add to the sense of calm that exists on these distant surfaces. What makes these atmospheres especially soothing to imagine is the way they soften the boundaries of each world. Light passes through them in different ways, scattering into colors, haze, or gentle shadows. Winds move slowly or steadily, shaping features with patient repetition. Every motion is guided by the quiet rules of temperature, rotation, and sunlight, creating rhythms that continue without hurry. Across the solar system, atmospheres behave like soft blankets that shape light, color, and motion. They give each world its own mood, whether warm and glowing, cool and pale, or faint and whisper-like. Imagining these layers drifting over distant horizons brings a sense of quiet continuity, reminding us that even in the vastness of space, gentle patterns unfold with calm regularity. Moons bring a gentle sense of companionship to the solar system. They circle their planets in calm, repeating paths, moving with rhythms shaped by gravity and time. Some are large enough to feel like small worlds. Others are no bigger than mountains. Yet all of them share the same soft purpose: to drift quietly around their parent planets, adding subtle motion to the vast stillness of space. Imagining these moons gliding through their orbits creates a soothing sense of harmony, as though each planet carries its own quiet family of travelers. Earth's moon is the companion we know best. It keeps the same face turned toward us, rotating at the perfect pace to match its orbit. This locked dance creates a sense of stillness, even though both Earth and the moon are always moving. Light drifts across its surface in slow phases, from thin crescent to full glow, and back again. These changes never feel rushed. They unfold in gentle cycles that have guided human imagination for countless generations, offering a familiar calmness that settles easily into the mind. Other worlds have many moons, creating entire systems of quiet motion. Jupiter carries dozens of them, each drifting through orbits arranged like softly layered rings. Some move quickly and close, completing a loop in just a day or two. Others move slowly and far, taking weeks to circle their giant planet. The four largest moons, Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto, drift in a peaceful resonance, tugging gently on one another in a repeating rhythm that has lasted for billions of years. Even their diverse surfaces feel calming when imagined from afar. Icy plains, smooth ridges, pale grey expanses, all resting beneath the faint glow of filtered sunlight. Saturn's moons add another layer of serenity. Titan, wrapped in its thick haze, circles the planet like a softly glowing lantern. Enceladus moves in a bright orbit, releasing gentle plumes of icy vapor that shimmer faintly before falling back to the surface. Many smaller moons glide through the gaps in Saturn's rings, shepherding the icy particles into smooth, elegant shapes. Their motion is delicate, like tiny companions sweeping slowly through thin paths of light. Farther from the Sun, Uranus and Neptune host moons that drift through quieter, colder regions of space. Their surfaces are icy, their motions gentle, and their landscapes shaped by slow processes that unfold across eons. Triton, Neptune's largest moon, orbits in a backward motion, creating a strange but peaceful path that sets it apart from other moons. Its pale surface reflects the distant sunlight, giving it a still, frosted appearance that fits the calm of the outer solar system. Even the smallest moons hold their own quiet beauty. Some are irregular in shape, turning softly as they orbit. Others are smooth and rounded, shaped by slow heating and cooling over time. These tiny worlds move like pebbles drifting in a shallow stream, each following a gentle path that never strays far from its parent planet. What makes moons especially peaceful to imagine is the steadiness of their orbits. They do not rush. Their paths do not change suddenly. They keep the same rhythms for millions of years, guided by slow, continuous gravitational pull. This predictability creates a sense of calm, as though each moon has found a perfect balance between movement and rest. Their presence softens the solar system, adding layers of quiet motion around each world. Some moons experience slow tidal interactions with their planets, stretching and relaxing over long periods of time. These motions shape their surfaces gently, forming ridges, planes, and cracks that reflect their internal rhythms. Even these changes unfold with patience, never rushing or disrupting the peaceful balance of their environments. When you picture all the moons in the solar system drifting through their paths, large ones glowing softly, tiny ones turning like quiet stones, icy ones shimmering under faint light, it becomes easy to imagine the solar system as a place filled with companionship. Each moon follows a partner. Each partner offers a steady pull, and together they move through space with a calmness that feels timeless. Letting your thoughts follow these moons can create a sense of quiet orbit within your own mind. Their movement is gentle, their paths repeating, their presence steady. They remind us that even in the vast openness of space, small companions drift faithfully beside their worlds, offering a peaceful sense of closeness in the endless dark. When we imagine spacecraft traveling through the solar system, it is easy to picture speed and urgency. But in reality, these explorers move with a quiet patience that mirrors the slow rhythms of the worlds they visit. They drift along gentle arcs shaped by gravity, following paths that unfold over months and years. Their journeys feel calm and deliberate, like lanterns gliding through a vast, open sea of darkness. The engines ignite for only brief moments. Most of the time, the spacecraft simply coast, letting gravity guide them in smooth, silent curves. From the moment a spacecraft leaves Earth, it enters a realm where motion becomes soft and continuous. After the initial push upward, the noise fades, and the craft begins to drift in the stillness of space. There is no wind, no resistance, no sound. Only gentle sunlight spreading across its panels and a slow rotation that keeps its instruments in balance. The silence that surrounds it creates a sense of peace, making every part of the journey feel unhurried and spacious. As spacecraft travel outward, they often use gravitational assists to adjust their paths. These assists are not forceful collisions or abrupt maneuvers. They are quiet dances with planets, where the craft passes close enough to borrow a little momentum or shift direction in a smooth, natural arc. Jupiter, Saturn, and Venus have all offered this gentle guidance to passing missions. The spacecraft feel the soft pull of the planet's gravity and allow it to redirect them, creating elegant spirals and loops that carry them deeper into the solar system. The sunlight that reaches these travelers grows fainter as they drift away from Earth. Near Mars, the light is still warm and bright, but beyond Jupiter, it softens into a pale glow. By the time a spacecraft reaches Saturn or Uranus, sunlight becomes a gentle shimmer that barely warms the surface of the craft. Instruments adapt to this quiet light, turning slowly to gather what they can. The dimness adds to the feeling of calm, giving the journey a dreamlike, hushed quality. The surfaces these spacecraft observe are equally tranquil. They glide past moons covered in ice, rings made of drifting particles, and planets wrapped in atmospheric haze. Cameras capture images at a slow, steady pace, revealing landscapes and cloud patterns that change only gradually. Nothing about these scenes is hurried. Even storms on distant planets, though large, move in wide, graceful spirals that unfold with deep patience. Each photograph becomes a moment of stillness, a calm window into worlds shaped by slow forces. Inside the spacecraft, instruments collect data in quiet intervals. Signals travel back to Earth across millions of kilometers, moving at the speed of light, yet taking long moments to arrive. Engineers and scientists wait patiently, listening for the subtle whisper of information carried across the dark. The delay between sending a command and receiving a response creates a natural sense of calm. Everything must be done thoughtfully, with gentle timing and deliberate care. Some spacecraft continue drifting long after their primary missions end. The Voyagers, for example, move through regions where sunlight is little more than a bright star, yet their journey continues with a soft persistence. They no longer rush toward a destination. They simply travel outward, carried by the same gravitational paths that guided them since launch. Their motion feels like a slow exhale into interstellar space, a journey so long and quiet that it becomes part of the solar system's own gentle rhythm. These explorers remind us that movement in space does not need to be fast or dramatic. It can be calm, patient, and deeply peaceful. Spacecraft follow the same soft principles that shape planetary orbits: inertia, gravity, and time. Their paths curve gently, their speed remains steady, and their presence adds a small, serene thread to the vast tapestry of the solar system. Imagining their drift through the darkness brings a sense of tranquility. They glide past worlds without rushing, gather light without urgency, and continue forward without hesitation. In their quiet journeys, we see a reflection of the solar system itself, wide, still, and filled with soft, continuous motion. The outer edges of the solar system do not form a sharp boundary. Instead, they fade gently into the surrounding darkness, creating a gradual transition from the sun's quiet influence to the stillness between the stars. This boundary is not a single line or a sudden cutoff. It is a wide, delicate region where sunlight becomes faint, particles drift farther apart, and the pull of gravity grows softer with distance. Imagining this area brings a peaceful sense of openness, as though the solar system slowly exhales into the surrounding universe. The Kuiper Belt is the first of these soft outer regions. It extends beyond Neptune in a broad ring filled with icy bodies that move slowly along their long orbits. Here, sunlight arrives as a cool glow, illuminating frozen surfaces with a gentle blue-white shimmer. Everything drifts more slowly, shaped by weaker gravity and colder temperatures. These small icy worlds follow paths that take centuries to complete, moving in unhurried loops that barely shift over time. Beyond the Kuiper Belt lies a quieter region still, where the sun's light fades into something closer to a distant sparkle. Space becomes more expansive and objects drift even farther from one another. This is where the scattered disk and transitional objects move through elongated orbits that stretch deep into the dark. Their motion feels almost weightless, as though they are wandering through a place where time itself has slowed. Farther out, the sun's magnetic influence creates a gentle bubble around the solar system. This bubble, called the heliosphere, is filled with particles that flow outward from the sun in a soft, continuous wind. For billions of kilometers, the solar wind moves calmly through space, creating a protective envelope around all the planets and smaller bodies inside. As the wind travels outward, it gradually weakens, finally slowing to a gentle drift where it meets the particles that float between the stars. This meeting point is not turbulent. It is subtle, like two breezes brushing softly against one another. The boundary where the solar wind slows significantly is known as the termination shock. Despite its name, imagining it feels calm. The solar wind simply loses speed, settling into a quieter motion. Beyond that lies the heliosheath, a region where the sun's influence becomes soft and diffused, blending with the thin material of interstellar space. Inside this region, conditions shift slowly. The particles drift more freely, and the solar wind becomes a faint whisper that extends just a little farther before fading entirely. Eventually, the heliosphere reaches its outermost edge, the heliopause. This is often considered the true boundary of the solar system's influence. Although even here, nothing dramatic happens. The solar wind diminishes into stillness, and interstellar particles take its place. Light still travels, but the sun becomes only one bright star among many. The transition is gentle, like stepping from a quiet room into a peaceful night. Even farther out, in a region we cannot yet see directly, scientists believe a vast cloud of icy objects surrounds the solar system. This region, known as the Oort cloud, may stretch almost a quarter of the distance to the next nearest star. If it exists as imagined, it forms a soft halo of distant, frozen bodies drifting in incredibly slow orbits that take millions of years to complete. Sunlight barely touches them. Their motion is guided mostly by faint, gravitational whispers, both from the sun and from the gentle tug of passing stars. Everything here is calm, ancient, and still. These layers of boundaries, the Kuiper belt, the heliosphere, the Helios heath, the heliopause, and the hypothetical Oort cloud, create a serene gradient rather than a wall. The solar system becomes less defined with distance, its influence fading like the final notes of a quiet song. Imagining this soft transition brings a sense of spaciousness, as though the solar system stretches out into the darkness with patience rather than force. The Voyager spacecraft have crossed some of these regions, moving slowly through areas where the sun's touch becomes faint. Their journey reveals how gradual the transition truly is. Signals from them take hours to reach Earth, traveling across regions where space feels almost untouched. Their ongoing drift into interstellar space reflects the calmness of these boundaries, a quiet departure from the sun's domain, guided by momentum and time. Thinking about these soft edges gives the solar system a peaceful character. It is not confined or limited. It expands gently outward, blending into the universe in long, slow gradients that mirror the calm rhythms found throughout its inner worlds. These boundaries are reminders that even in the vastness of space, transitions can be smooth, measured, and deeply serene. When you step back and imagine the solar system all at once, it becomes something soft and harmonious. Instead of isolated planets drifting through empty space, it appears as a calm, interconnected structure where every world, moon, and particle follows a quiet rhythm shaped by gravity, light, and time. The sun sits at the center like a warm, steady lantern, and all the planets glide around it in smooth, repeating arcs. Each world holds its own character, yet together they create a peaceful balance that stretches across billions of kilometers. The inner planets form the warm, familiar core of this structure. Mercury drifts closest to the sun, quiet and cratered. Venus glows beneath its golden clouds, turning slowly as though lost in a long, gentle dream. Earth carries oceans, air, and the soothing blue of reflected light. Mars rests beside them, covered in soft dust and ancient valleys. These 4 planets form a small family, orbiting in steady, predictable loops, each one bathed in sunlight that fades gradually with distance. As the solar system widens outward, the giant planets create a serene middle region. Jupiter, massive and gently swirling, anchors dozens of moons that drift around it like small companions. Saturn follows with its graceful rings, thin and delicate as strands of ice, circling in quiet order. Uranus tilts softly on its side, wrapped in pale blue haze, while Neptune drifts in deeper, cooler tones at the far edge of the planetary system. Their great distances create a feeling of openness, giving each world space to move without disturbance. Beyond these giants lies the soft boundary of icy objects in the Kuiper Belt, where small worlds follow slow orbits shaped by weak sunlight and gentle gravitational pulls. Farther still, the sun's influence stretches into regions where light becomes a faint shimmer and the solar wind fades into stillness. Even here, the structure feels calm rather than empty. It is a peaceful transition from the sun's quiet guidance to the vast, dark calm of interstellar space. What makes the solar system soothing to imagine is not just its size, but the steadiness of its motion. Every planet moves at the exact pace its orbit requires. Every moon keeps its balance between gravity and speed. Even comets, in their long looping paths, follow trajectories shaped by gentle forces acting over enormous distances. Nothing feels hurried. Nothing feels abrupt. The system behaves like a slow cosmic clock, each part turning in soft harmony with the rest. This sense of connection extends to the tiniest objects as well. Dust grains left behind by ancient collisions continue drifting along gentle curves. Small asteroids follow calm paths shaped by the pull of nearby planets. Ice particles in Saturn's rings orbit in graceful, shimmering bands. Every object, no matter how small or distant, contributes to the soft choreography that defines the solar system as a whole. Another calming truth is that the solar system has maintained this quiet order for billions of years. It has changed slowly, shaped by gradual processes rather than sudden shifts. The planets cooled at patient speeds. Moons settled into stable rhythms. Rings formed from drifting particles. Even today, change continues at a pace too slow to notice in a single lifetime. This deep timescale adds to the sense of tranquility, as though the entire structure exists in a long state of peaceful balance. When we imagine all of this together, the glow of the sun, the drifting planets, the slow turning moons, the faint boundaries stretching outward, we see not a chaotic system, but a gentle one. Everything holds its place through soft gravitational ties. Light spreads outward in smooth gradients. Motion unfolds in quiet arcs that repeat again and again. It becomes easy to picture the solar system as a calm, floating arrangement suspended in the dark, moving with the steady patience of deep cosmic time. Letting your thoughts drift across this structure brings a feeling of spaciousness. You can wander from world to world, from warm inner orbits to cool distant regions, without encountering anything rushed or loud. The solar system invites a slow kind of imagining, one that mirrors the pace at which its own patterns unfold. In this wide, quiet space, every world contributes to a sense of peaceful connection, offering a reminder that even on the grandest scales, nature often prefers gentle rhythms over sudden motion. As our slow journey through the solar system begins to settle, the motion of these distant worlds rests gently in your mind. The planets continue their soft orbits. The moons drift along their peaceful paths. and the light of the sun spreads outward in a warm, steady glow that fades gradually into the quiet of space. Nothing here is hurried. Nothing demands attention. Everything simply continues, moving with the calm, enduring rhythm that has guided these worlds for billions of years. You might picture the inner planets resting close to the sun, drifting in their familiar loops, each one wrapped in its own calm landscape and gentle atmosphere. Farther out, the giant planets remain suspended in their wide, cool orbits, surrounded by moons and rings that glide through the dark with elegant patience. And beyond them, the icy realms expand into soft, quiet distances, where small worlds shimmer under faint, distant light. The entire solar system seems to breathe as one, expanding and settling in a slow, peaceful cycle that continues long after our imagining fades. As these images float through your thoughts, you can let them loosen and dissolve, allowing the worlds to drift farther away. Every orbit grows softer, every line of motion grows lighter, until the planets become small points gliding through a vast, open darkness. Even the sun becomes a gentle glow, steady and warm, resting at the center of everything, yet asking nothing in return. Its light fades into the distance with a softness that mirrors the quiet settling of your own thoughts. There is no need to hold on to any particular detail. Nothing needs to be remembered or followed. The solar system can simply drift at the edges of your awareness, becoming a faint pattern of motion that blends into calm darkness. The rhythms of rotation, the paths of orbits, the subtle glow of sunlight, all fall into a long, slow exhale that spreads across the wide silence of space. As your mind drifts, you might imagine the solar system from even farther away. Seen from a great distance, all the planets and moons become a soft, shimmering arrangement of light and shadow, suspended in a deep, quiet expanse. The spaces between them widen, filled with gentle stillness. Their motions continue without sound, unfolding at a pace that feels timeless. The entire structure becomes a peaceful constellation of drifting worlds, resting together in an endless, calm night. Let the sense of this vast, quiet space settle around you. Feel the way the solar system moves with such effortless balance, how each part finds its place without strain or effort. These soft motions can mirror the settling of your own thoughts, encouraging them to slow, to lengthen, to fade gently into stillness. There is nothing more the mind needs to explore. The solar system will continue its peaceful rhythms, and you can simply rest alongside it. Now the worlds drift farther away, not disappearing, but floating into a calm distance where they no longer ask to be imagined. The sun becomes a warm point of light. The planets become faint glimmers. The outer regions fade into a soft, endless quiet. Everything moves into a space of deep rest, where motion becomes a whisper and time feels wide and gentle. As this quiet expands, you are welcome to drift with it. Let the steady calm of the solar system carry you into a softer, slower place within yourself. Allow each breath to lengthen. Allow each thought to loosen. There is nothing to do now, nowhere to go, nothing to hold. Only a soft, open darkness and the gentle rhythm of your own quiet resting. And in this stillness, you can let sleep come whenever it chooses, slowly, naturally, and peacefully, like a world settling into the calm of its own long night.